last time. I think it may cost you probably about 5 presidential votes. I gotta
Yeah.
be honest with you. Yeah. Oh man, the comments they were going crazy about you taking their Nesara and Gesara away, and that there's no QFS and there's no reevaluation and none of this stuff, and they went nuts on you, which I predicted they would. But I'm going to ask you, what are you still on the same mindset? First of all, and what do you think about this Israeli war and the QFS and the Sara Jasara and the global reset from the Cabal versus the global reset, the real one that I think is going to be Nesara and Gesara? How does this whole play into it?
Well, my mind isn't changed, and I know people don't like having their I'm not gonna say it's a delusion, but they don't like having their expectations shattered. And I would love to be wrong. I would love for you to be right, but we're not. We're in a respectful disagreement on what's going to happen. But I just look at it from a historical context, and at no point in human history has there ever been some miracle saving grace that came out and freed everybody, and suddenly everyone was, rich and happy and debt free and had all their rights. And that's just, to me, that's a pipe dream. Even if we're looking at biblical times where Jesus came to earth, he was crucified on a cross, and you saw the Dark Ages follow. That wasn't it wasn't a Nesara Gesara scenario. That's just not the way that things have ever gone in human history. So I don't expect things to go that way.
So you're saying basically because the bad guys have been basically in power for so long, and they've had tremendous amount of power. There's no question about that. That they're not going to allow us to have the power this time around.
Well, I'm saying that even the forces acting against one another are not necessarily going to put us first. It's really up to us to take care of us.
Interesting. And what is your take of what's going on right now in Israel?
Well, so it's going to be a long take. So I'll go back to let's start at the root of the cabal in modern times, and let's go right back to the Rothschilds and the founding of Federal Reserve. And with founding the Federal Reserve, followed in 1921, we had the Council of Foreign Relations, which founded the OSS, which became the CIA. Now, we also had around that same time in 1933, the Rothschilds arranged with the Nazi Germany government to stop a boycott of Zionist business practices in Germany by the transfer agreement, which was basically to transfer 60,000 Jews and to pay $100 million in the transfer agreement to send them to what is now considered Israel, and at that time, of course, was Palestine. So realistically speaking, it could be argued that Israel is in fact a Nazi colony. It was founded by Nazi money under a Nazi directive in coordination with the Rothschilds, who funded Nazi Germany throughout the war, and of course, both sides of the war. Now, as we moved post-World War II, we saw the CIA, which was again founded by the Council on Foreign Relations, which was Rothschilds. We saw them go through Operation Paperclip, in which they rescued high-level Nazis, gave them authority, autonomy, and no accountability throughout the Western world. We saw everything from the Secretary General of NATO to the Defense Minister of the United Nations to Werner von Braun and multiple other high levels, and probably many that we're not even aware of, that were brought over and given basically leadership roles over Western society from the Nazi Party. So the question for World War II there is not whether or not we beat Germany and Japan. Obviously, they as nations lost the war. But did we beat the Nazis? And who did the Nazis actually work for? Was it for Germany, or did they work for the people signing the check? And the people signing the check was the Rothschilds. They were banking both Britain and Germany and France and America and everyone else throughout the war. Now, that war, of course, helped in propelling all of the Jews who survived the Holocaust, and I am by no means denying the Holocaust. I'm quite certain that they were okay with killing millions of people, and I'm sure that they did. But the Jews that survived emigrated out to Israel. And at that point, we saw the first Holocaust in Palestine, in which over 750,000 Palestinians were slaughtered and another 250,000 were displaced. And we saw a continual march of conquest over many years in Palestine becoming Israel, until we eventually arrived at what we have today, which is essentially we have a Fourth Reich, which is running the United States and the CIA and the intelligence services and much of NATO because they maintained power, and which is